What's up? Hello, my name is Liz, and you're watching For Booking Out Loud. So, I have a confession. I have been putting off this video for quite a while. I was going to film this on the 15th of March, not February, March. And then that Monday wasn't a good day for various reasons. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and now it's finally Friday. And it's way past the halfway point of March. It is currently March 19th. But such is life. Today is finally a good day to film, and we're just gonna go with it, right? Life. But saying that, this is my mid-month update. And just like my last mid-month update, I'm just going to go over the books I read. There's not going to be any stats. I just want to update you on the books, my feelings, and if I remember, the the rating that I gave them. And like I tried with my last one to make it shorter, but it clearly was not shorter. And this one probably won't be as short either, because I had read 13, 14 books. We'll see. There'll be a count in the description down below. And of course, like all my updates and wrap-ups and what have you, I will always put the books in the description. I'll always timestamp them. So pick and choose which books you want to hear about, if you want to hear about just one or two, and I will never be offended. So let's just get into it. I have my reading journal, I have the books in front of me, and really go by chronological order unless I read a couple books in the series, and then we'll just talk about the series, right? Well, we will, because it's my video, and we're gonna go with what I want. So there. All right. The very first book I read and finished this month was Rebecca by Daphne de Maurier. Apologies in advance for my awful pronunciation of everything. I thought it was a very interesting book. It is a mystery, go figure. And it's about this unnamed woman who marries, I'm forgetting the guy's name right now, but she marries this guy who recently is widowed from this woman named Rebecca. And when she moves in, well, she's marrying above her station. And then when she moves in to become the woman of the house, all anyone can do is compare her to this woman, Rebecca. And a lot of things happen, and one thing after another. And it's just this huge mystery surrounding this woman, Rebecca, the death of Rebecca, and this Rebecca, right? It was honestly right up my alley. I love a good mystery. I love a good thriller, which it kind of was at the end. I really enjoyed too how this book really had this full circle too. It really ended where it started. And I think that's a really good, just a cherry on top when you read a book, especially with a good mystery. I did end up giving it a 3.5 though. It wasn't one of my better mystery thriller books just because, I don't know, for some reason it just didn't speak to me like other mystery books, and so that was me. It might have been my mood when I went and read it, just because the beginning of this month was the start of hybrid for me, and things have been happening, things have been going on, so life, right? The second book I read this month was The Bear and the Nightingale by Katherine Arden. And this is actually the first book of a trilogy, and I believe this is also Katherine Arden's debut novel. I actually really liked this book. It's based on Russian myths and folktales, and it really focuses on the idea that women have a certain role and men have a certain role, like gender stereotypes, right? And then you have this girl basically breaking everything while portraying all of these myths and folklores. Now, I'm also going into this and know this, that I am not well versed in Russian anything. It wasn't the culture I was raised in. I'm very much white American, middle class kind of culture. And so I'm really learning at least Katherine Arden's view of Russian culture and Russian mythology, especially surrounding this book series. I believe it's called the Winter Night series. Winter Night Trilogy. So I was close. But I thought it was very mystical, fantastical. It really focuses on winter and death because Russia. And of course, those gender stereotypes, which was a really interesting take on it, actually. But it's a YA series, and I do highly suggest picking it up if you enjoy fantasy, honestly. I gave it a 4.5 star, and then I quickly picked up the second book in the trilogy, which is The Girl in the Tower, which is pretty much set right after The Bear and the Nightingale, and also a fantastical continuation of the first book. I ended up giving that one a 4 star. And at this point, I'm really just eagerly awaiting the third book to come in for my library, but it looks like I'm going to have to wait 6 weeks or so for that, so we'll just see. Now, the next book I read was Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Oseman. Ah, there it is. Oh, yes. I thought it was a very interesting take on fandom culture and really a lot of interesting topics. It's about this girl who's really, maybe not obsessed, but really invested in this radio show or this YouTube channel called... Again, I forget. But she's really invested into this YouTube channel. And it's not ruining the book at all. She very quickly finds out it's actually hosted by her neighbor, who she used to be really close friends with his sister. And then his sister mysteriously disappeared. And it's this mystery surrounded by it. It really incorporates a lot of important topics, I would say. Specifically, like I said, toxic fandom culture, and really mental health awareness too. I ended up listening to it on audio, which I thought it was a fantastic audiobook, by the way. The person who narrated it was phenomenal. And ultimately, I really liked the story, and I liked how Alice Oseman really took the reader through the story and made it seem very plausible. But I would give it a 4 out of 5. And then the next one is 99% Mine. And I believe I talked about this one in a vlog. I'll link it above and below, but short and sweet summary is it is a cute romance about brother's best friend trope, right? And I ended up giving it a 3 out of 5 stars. A decent romance. Would it be my first recommendation for a romance book? No. But would it be a recommendation? Sure. If you enjoy the trope, if you enjoy romance, go for it. The reason I ended up reading that book is because I've heard a lot of good things about Sally Thorne as an author. I think it's a different book. And so I ended up choosing 99% Mine because I was able to get that one sooner from the library. But I'm really looking forward to her other book, which I'll get in hopefully a couple weeks, but we'll see. Now, the next book is My Sister, the Serial Killer, and I believe I read that book in the same vlog that I read 99% Mine. But this one is a very interesting book where I believe it was sold to me as more of a horror thriller book, but really, in my opinion, it's a family, like cultural, social take where it really explores what it means to be a sister, what it means to be a family, and what it means to make a choice, really. I thought it was a really, really interesting book. It's an incredibly short read and a really, really quick read too. The chapters are incredibly short and you can really breeze through it. But I thought it was a very unique book and I would highly pick it up just because of that. It is horror, but it's not grotesque horror. The only really thing that nominates it as a horror is because guess what? There's a serial killer in it. It's in the title. But it was good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. So there you go. And then I read The Island of Sea Women, which I did a single video review on that, which again, I'll link above and below. Like always, go ahead and check it out. I think I did a good job on that review, if I do say so myself. But I absolutely love that book. That book took me by surprise. Again, long story short, if you want the longer version, watch the video. But it's about 2 women growing up in a very unique society when they are completely different and they have very different backgrounds. And it's about their relationship, their friendship, and how they diverge and come back together, truly. And it's historical fiction taking place on Jeju Island in South Korea, starting in 1930s to the present. So a lot of very intricate historical details are added into this book. And I gave that one, where is it? It's somewhere. I gave it a 4.5, which is pretty much sounds about right. All right, and then One of Us is Lying is number 7, I believe. Don't quote me on that numbering, please. One of Us is Lying is by Katherine M. McManus, and I've actually read this book before. A lot of my students absolutely love Katherine M. McManus, and one of the reasons why is because she actually has her books translated in an easily accessible format in Spanish. Just gonna put that out there. It's a game changer for Spanish-speaking students, so authors, can you get on that, please? Just saying. But One of Us is Lying is pretty much that stereotypical high school, everyone gets into after school detention. You have your jock, your pretty girl, your geek, so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden it's kind of turned on its head and someone dies during that detention. And throughout the book, you're just trying to figure out who done it, right? Very interesting take, really interesting YA mystery. I gave it a 3 out of 5. Not really into YA mystery per se, but I really want to go through Katherine McManus's, I really want to go through Katherine McManus's stories so I can review her newer work for my students and get it for my classroom, especially now that students are coming back in to the classroom. I need to update my library. Ooh. And now number 8 is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And I have been meaning to read this book for quite a while since I got it in December. I have read 2 of Riley Sager's books, Home Before Dark and the pink one. Lock Every Door, the pink one. I did not enjoy Lock Every Door at all, but I absolutely loved Home Before Dark. So I was 50-50 on Riley Sager, and I was really hoping that this next one, Last Time I Lied, would be that split. And I know I just recently put out a video of a 5-star prediction, and this was a 5-star book for me. It took me by surprise. I absolutely loved the premise of this book, which is a girl goes to summer camp for 2 weeks, befriends 3 other girls, and then they go missing. And now she's an adult. The summer camp reopens. What's going to happen now? And what happened to those 3 girls 15 years ago? And then the way that Riley Sager ended that book, it was beautiful. It was fantastic. If you were in the mood for a mystery horror book, I guess it's not really horror. I would say it's more leaning on the mystery thriller side, actually. But if you're in the mood for anything like that, pick up this book, hands down. It is beautiful. I love the summer camp idea. The final girl trope. Well, not really the final girl trope. Ignore that part, but it was just beautiful. It was fantastic. It had me on the edge of my seat pretty much the last 2/3 of the book. After the setup on that 1/3, I had no idea where it was going. And then that ending, I didn't know I wanted it to end that way until it did. And it was beautiful and everything I didn't know I wanted. And if I was a writer and any good, like Riley Sager, I would have ended it exactly the same way. But I'm not, and I'm glad he's doing it and not me. Point blank. All right. And now I'm on to the last audiobook, or I guess the second audiobook that I finished this first half of the month. The Art of Resilience by Ross Edgley. And this is the guy who swam all around the British Isles, Great Britain, England, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure there's a technical term I'm not sure about. And I might get hate comments for that. Life. But he swam all around that island. And I think he's the only one who's done that, or he's the fastest one who's done that. And he wrote this whole book on how to ignore pain and how to be the best person to do it, or best mentality to do it, and how you have resilience in you. Can you tell that I'm not too excited about this book? It's a nonfiction. It's kind of like a self-help book. Kind of like an exercise self-help book. And I wasn't about it. I honestly put it on and I used it as background noise while I was working 2 weeks ago. Or for 2 weeks. I don't know. I wasn't that impressed. I gave it a 2 stars. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you're about that self-help, that self-exercise thing, it was cool. I picked it up because I thought it was going to be more about his story going around the island and getting ready for it. And it was to an extent, but it was less than I thought. And that was disappointing for me, that's all. All right. And then we have the Shadow and Bone trilogy by Leigh Bardugo. And I recently posted my vlog of it, and I read it in a weekend. I read Shadow and Bone, Storm and Siege, and Ruin and Rising, so all 3 books. The vlog will be above and below, again, like always. If you're interested to see my journey, it was a reread for me. I was less impressed by the series going through it this time than I was last time. It's kind of suffering from that early 2000s YA fantasy kind of thing, like The Chosen One, I don't want to be the chosen one kind of thing. And I found it more fascinating watching Leigh Bardugo really come into her own as an author, knowing that this is her first series, first book. And then she goes on to Six of Crows, which I read before that, which I'm reading completely out of order, and that's completely my fault. But then Ninth House is her most recent release, and it is absolutely fantastic. So knowing she goes from Shadow and Bone to Ninth House, she has definitely started perfecting her art, and she is improving as a author. Like, you go, girl. Good for you. You are not stagnant at all. And so I find that more fascinating than the series itself. So there you go. For ratings, I gave Shadow and Bone 3 out of 5. Siege and Storm was 3 out of 5. And I did give Ruin and Rising 4 out of 5, just because I really did enjoy how Leigh Bardugo ended it. I thought it was a very good, again, circling. Gotta enjoy the circling aspect. I'm a sucker for it. What can I say? And then the very last book I read for the first half of this month is Storm of Locust by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the second book of her, what's the series called? The Sixth World series. What was the first one called? Duh. The first one was called Trail of Lightning, and I thought that one was a very interesting book. I had never read anything like it, and so I definitely wanted to continue with Storm of Locusts. They're urban fantasies based on Native American myths set in kind of like a alternate reality, I guess. It's set in a very different world than this one, point blank. It was really, really interesting. I honestly liked Storm of Locust better than Trail of Lightning, and I don't know how to explain it to you. I thought the characters of Storm and Locust were almost developed more, and I just thought they were more intriguing to me. And of course you have characters that carried on over from Trail of Lightning, but the new characters that were introduced in Storm of Locust. And I thought the plot in Storm of Locust was more enticing to me, because gotta love that apocalyptic horror, right? It's my sweet spot. What can I say? But I thought it was a beautiful story, and I'm really excited for the next installment in the series. I'm not sure how far she's going to take the series, whether it's going to be trilogy or more than that. But right now we're at 2 in this series, and it's clearly going to continue with the end of Storm of Locust. And I'm really excited to see where she takes it. So right now Rebecca Roanhorse is a phenomenal writer for me, and I will always now pick up anything she puts out. Point blank. And I believe that's everything that I've been reading. It's a lot, especially considering everything that's happened this month. So I'm okay with that. I am currently reading The Midnight Library, My Best Friend's Exorcism, and Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. Still reading that. It's been a month. Almost a month. So hopefully those will be on my next update and completed. And we'll just get back. I hope you are all having a wonderful, wonderful reading month, and honestly that your month is just going really well. Why don't you pop in the comments a really good book you've recently read or are currently getting through. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me that thumbs up and like this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Have a good one. Bye.